Right, we are live. Hello, viewers. Welcome again to this edition of LaToken Venture Capital Television. My name is Osita, and I'm joined by my colleague Maxine Bisinov as a co-moderator. Maxine.
So, hi Sita, hi Gary, hi Kartik. So, my name is Maxim Bisenov, as Sita mentioned. So, I suggest it will be a great and insightful show that will open our eyes on our key topics. Thank you, Sita.
Thanks very much. Okay. So, LaToken VCTV is an investment-focused online event that aims at connecting investors and entrepreneurs through these interactive platforms, and as well give startups the opportunity to pitch their business ideas in front of the panels. Today, we're going to dive into three topics, mainly eSports, entertainment, and wellness. All our panel discussions are open to questions and comments from anyone. So if at any point during the discussion you have questions or comments, please use the comment box below available on your screen. Or if you would like to pitch on one of our events or join the panel discussion, you are welcome. Just write to me or any of my colleagues on LaToken. Great. So I'm going to open the floor now to the speakers for an introduction. Speakers, starting with Gary.
Yeah, sure. Great to be here, Sita. My name's Gary Fowler. I'm a serial entrepreneur and investor. I've done 17 companies. I love artificial intelligence and quantum. I've written 123 articles on artificial intelligence and quantum. I write a lot every week and then some drop off, but I've done my most recent article should come out today on cognitive computing in the cloud. So I've done 2 unicorns. I've had a couple of interesting exits. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which was sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion 22 months ago. And also, I'm the co-founder of Viva.ai and a booming, I was real lucky because we did remote workforce management. David Yang from Abbey in Russia is my partner in that company. And anyhow, we started with Google like search for the personal cloud, went to remote workforce management before the pandemic, and business is booming. So AI is a new electricity. Quantum's going to help us understand or give us a capability to be able to process at incredible amounts of speed, and we're interested in companies like that. Today, I'm the co-founder, president, and CEO of GSD Get Shit Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio that use Silicon Valley support to the rest of the world. So great to be here. Great to see my friend Kartik, and nice seeing you, Asita and Maxim, and let's go get them.
Thank you very much, Gary. Welcome to the show. And Kartik?
Thank you so much, Sita, and thank you so much, Gary, for the introductions. I come in from the Middle East, from Dubai, represent a couple of family offices based in UK, primarily invested into health and edutech, venture funds based out of Qatar and Saudi, and also own a startup incubator, Idea Factory, which primarily democratizes edutechs, health tech, and a lot of retail analytic tech businesses in the Middle East. Happy to be on the show, and this is the 67th episode, Sita, on VCTV, and I'm waiting till the time I reach 100. Thank you so much.
So you're welcome. You're welcome. Good to see you. All right, gentlemen, once more, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for taking out the time to come join us. Now, let's start off with eSports. Now, I know a lot have and has been said about this fast-growing industry, particularly with respect to the COVID-19 effect. Perhaps let me start with you, Kartik. So behind the scene, what actually are driving the growth of this sector? Why is the competitive gaming becoming so popular?
So it's and like any other business, esports is an entire ecosystem. And over the last 2 years, primarily in the last 9 to 10 months, the industry has grown by almost 84 to 85% in this part of the world, with investments to the tune of around 3 to 4 billion coming in, and further investments in the pipeline. I see number of investments in this sector only growing every day. And the reason is a collective effort of the entire industry. The ecosystem's thriving because of multiple ancillary support systems, all the way from the bandwidth and telecom infrastructure, which provides which fuels the growth, the merchandising and retail infrastructure, the entire advertising and franchising infrastructure, and more importantly, the competitive gaming spirit, wherein from the real world to the virtual world, the e-game industry has moving, and virtual celebrities, virtual dollars available for people to win have democratized and made it a phenomenon which started in Southeast Asia, primarily from Korea, Japan, and has now become a key driver for sports or esports in the Middle East. Of late, we've seen investments coming into this space primarily in the virtualization of soccer, in virtualization of tennis, in virtualization of motor and arcade gaming into multiple millions. We funded an Indian-based startup which was primarily into cards-based gaming to a tune of around 6.7, $6.8 million into a Series B funding. So there's a lot of funding, sunrise industry, a lot of virtual ecosystems being created, and I think interesting space for all of us to be. Peter, you're on mute.
Ashita, please unmute.
All right, I'm very, very sorry. Thank you very much, Karthik, for that great insight. So, having seen the enormous growth in esports, is there a future career path in this industry, and how will that affect traditional sports, which at the very moment is almost static?
So, in terms of future path and in terms of future career, I think careers and futures have already started being built. If you see what the European Premier League or what the English Premier League or what the esport NASCAR racing used to be, has already started creating virtual celebrities. A Jordanian boy has just about won $7 million as a part of an esports gaming community. On a daily basis, people win $100,000 on card games and are building careers. Careers are also being built not only in winning and participating, but in virtual competitions, multiplayer gaming industries, with tokenization coming in or gamification coming in through blockchain, is creating a thriving earning ecosystem for people to win. And more importantly, an entire parallel franchising, an entire parallel advertising and marketing, an entire parallel social media engagement community is being built, which is creating virtual careers for a lot of business. So what Premier League and what baseball or what cricket or what soccer did for sports between 1950s to 1990s is what esports is going to do in the next 30 to 40 years, all the way from advertising to franchising to technology to game development to core graphics and core computing technology into creating layers that would go 5 to 6 years from now in terms of advancement.
Great, thank you very much. And Gary, if I can get your thought on this also. We know very much that the mobile penetration of esports is huge and is in part a contributor to its rocketing growth. But there seems to be a problem growing right under the noses of parents. Threats such as underage gambling with esports, citing kids stealing their parents' credit cards for gambling purposes. So how can we solve this problem? Does it require a collective approach, or should it be left alone to parents? Gary?
I think you need to hide your wallet in your pocketbook. You know what I mean? I don't think this is a problem that's happened through the centuries. I suspect back in the Stone Age, it used to be shells and pearls and everything else. I mean, I'm not sure. Things have changed a lot. But, I mean, it's, the situation is, you got a lot of things coming together at one time. You got gaming, media, pop culture, commerce, and you got kids exposed to mobile phones with games. You teach them to use a lot games, right? And what are they going to do? I mean, they like to be competitive and they like to win. I'm not sure it's a bad thing, those kind of characteristics, winning, competition, using the phone. But, these are some things you need to address. So we need to have other security ways to be able to lock it down, whether it's a thumbprint or retina I mean, some way or verification from some standpoint. So parents need to make sure that, as they would do with a Coinbase account, they need to make sure that they have trust, right? They set it up properly. So, but the world. Look at it's estimated that the esports and e-gaming is going to grow to 1.5 billion by 2023. It's a growing market, and of course, there's superstars coming out. If we look at it today, we've got a interesting situation. The pandemic is still upon us. We've accepted a lot more. It's interesting because at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody was afraid, locked in. Toilet paper was scarce. That's kind of funny in itself, isn't it? Here we are, this advanced society with quantum computers, mobile phones, and we can't get a roll of toilet paper. Now think about it. What's wrong with that, right? So we came into a really unique situation where people were at home, kids were at home, and all of a sudden the boom in this marketplace. So it is powered, as you're right, Osita, it's powered by mobile because people have access. At the same time, we've got an interesting opportunity because it's really gone mainstream. And as you said, there are personalities being developed. Why? Because there's money behind it. So what we need to do, it's not about this if it's going to happen. It's about how much it's going to be impacting our lives. Look at it today. Each one of us on the panel, each one of the audience members, how many times do you pick up your mobile phone every day? Hundreds, right? So this has become now an extension of our lives. So having the esports capability and the ability to be able to basically retreat from life and look at something differently. I mean, it's happening. I mean, that's what a baseball game, a football game, a soccer game, that basketball game, that was all what it was all about, to be able to retreat. The difference is now we can do it a lot faster and better. And the competitors in those games who've been trained in using Nintendo Switches and all kinds of other Nintendos, Microsoft, etc. Now just have another venue, and now they're able to make money with it. I'm not sure it's a bad thing. It's only a bad thing if it starts to dictate your life, and you just as a participant, it's one thing. But as an observer, you want to make sure, as you would be any kind of fanatic, that it doesn't dominate your life. But it's an exciting time. I mean, the mediums in front of us, people are cooped up at their houses. They need to have some way to be able to relax and blow off the steam. And if they can't see regular events, regular games, why not?
Right. Thank you very much, Gary. So, parents need to be in better control and control their kids' habits.
Well, I mean, it's security, right? It's keep it simple, stupid. If you don't have two-step verification on your phone, whose fault's that? The e-gaming company or yours? As a parent, you don't want them going into porno sites either. If you got the stuff up, and your kids get in it, then you need to have tools on their computers to control it, right? It's, that's part of it. We get lazy. I mean, it's amazing, right? People talk about cybersecurity, and then they put the name of their dog on their phone. You know what I mean? Or a cat, or their child. It's crazy. And so we need to take a lot of the responsibilities our own. We can't be lazy about things, and then people use the same password on all kinds of accounts, and they never change them. And they wonder why. Oh, I got hacked. I wonder why. Well, you got, your name and your son's name or daughter's name or whatever. And, it's not so hard to hack it. So it just gets me on a cybersecurity standpoint, because we talk about cybersecurity so much and then we're really lazy. All of us, right? I mean, I have to push myself to make changes all the time, but all of us need to take that security better. And with our kids, it's our responsibility to help them, guide them through their lives, and to make sure that they're safe and sound, and put up those walls so they can't get in. I wouldn't want, listen, it's one thing about e-gaming, but I mean, I hear kids taking their parents' credit cards and buying stuff at stores. It's not only e-gaming, right? are going on Amazon and going on a spree and sending stuff to themselves, right? So it's not just e-gaming, but
so at the end of the day, it's about them getting access to the parents' credit card. So it's not
exactly
what you do with it.
I mean, whose fault's that? I mean, the situation, you're a parent, there's a reason you're a parent, and that's to take care of your kids. Guess what? Every kid growing up wants to test the limits and try to get away with and, try something. So, and each one of us on the call today have done the same thing, haven't we?
Yeah.
Test the limits, and you're only bad if you get caught.
Yeah. Awesome, great. Thank you very much, Gary. Now, let's move on to the startup challenges in this industry. Gary, I know you're the founder of GSD Venture Studio, an expert in startup incubation and acceleration. Startups in this industry, in fact, startups in general, have continued to fail despite massive capital injection from investors. The gaming and entertainment industries are booming as far as we can see, and it's become an industry for many big brands. But success stories are not always coming from it. Startups like Aldi's and Gearbox and even Mortiga, which is very known for its gigantic gaming version, which partnered with Microsoft but had limited options in terms of gaming exposure and publishing. Their game ended up only in Xbox and Windows Store, which many say was the killer stage. So, what are the major contributors to startup failures, even when they have massive capital injection and partnership with well-known established brands? Is there a geopolitical drawbacks involved?
Well, I mean, so just startup failures in general. So, and I've written about this. I started the first accelerator in Russia. It's Skolkovo Startup Academy, Maxim. I co-founded that. And also GVA. I'm the co-founder of GVA Launch Guru. So been around the block a few times. But let's look back at the root cause. What are the root causes of startup failure? One is a team. You don't have the right team in place. Two, connections. Being able to get out to the world to raise the kind of money you need. And today we got a very special environment because I look at it 3 levels. One is acceleration. 2 is regional dominance. And 3 is going global. Each one of those has their own hurdles. And so it's the reason 9 out of 10 of them failed. So a couple of things. One is customer development. They developed something that nobody wants. And I've done it myself, Osita. I got to tell you, a third startup I did. I've done 17. I screwed up. I thought I knew everything. I'd been very successful. I was about 27 years old. I started a company, and I thought I know better than everybody else. I thought, I was a Steve Jobs of construction tech. So I built something, and I built it, spent all the money, a couple $1 million, and nobody wanted it. And I really felt bad about it. But more importantly, I lost probably more than $400,000. I was going to say $1 million, but it was about 400,000. And I sweated for 3 years before I was able to just break even. So I spent 400,000, and then once I got the stuff sold, I broke even. But I learned a valuable lesson. You better listen to your customers. There's a book called The Startup Owner's Manual by my friends Bob Dorff and Steve Blank. So whenever you develop something, where it's in eSports or an AI company, whatever, go out and see if the market wants it. So David Yang and David is a very famous entrepreneur in Russia. David developed a company called Abby. He's my partner, and Eva. We went out, we met with people on the street. We would sit down in Palo Alto, California. We would walk down the street, and we'd ask them, what do you think? And we did a PowerPoint presentation, and we had mock-ups. And we took that feedback very, very seriously. That feedback is really important. You need to go out and see if your product is viable. You need to make sure people want to pay for your product. It's one thing for your friends to say, "Oh, what a great idea, Osita. You're a genius. You're the next Steve Jobs of South Africa." But the thing is, what happens is, do they want to take money out of their pocket and buy it? That's the key. Do they get addicted to it? Those are really important. How do you know that? You got to test it. Most times startups don't do it. Most times startups, they have a very big ego. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you got to listen to your customers. Your customers are going to guide you in the way. And if you don't listen to them, and many times people that have engineering backgrounds who develop companies over-engineer products. They don't do an MVP. They make it so complicated, it becomes so expensive, it puts them out of business. So if you want, these are, I call it the KISS principle. Keep it simple, stupid. And, I'm the country boy here. And, on the farm, if it's black and white, it has horns, and it's big, it's a cow. Very simple. If it's small, it's a goat, and if it's smaller than that, maybe it's a cat. So simple, simple, simple. And that's how you got to do it. So with all the startups I've ever done, after the fact that I had the problems with the third one, I went down through and I made sure people want to buy it. I understood that making the wrong decision costs a lot of money and a lot of sleepless nights, and it's no fun. So the other thing is, you need to have, why do they fail? Because startups do not have those intergenerational teams. You need to have the people with the gray hair because they have the credibility, they have the trust, and they have the contacts. If you want to be successful, it's important. Just as Kartik will tell you, I mean, we've been on many, out of the 67, we probably were on 60 of them together, right, Kartik?
Absolutely.
And this is probably my 400th or 400, more than that. I've been on most of the panels of VCTV. But one of the things that you find is that it's important, if you want to do a deal, if somebody likes a Kartik comes to me and asks me that or tells me there's an interesting company you might want to take a look at, I'm going to listen. Why? Because I get hundreds of emails, hundreds of them every day. I can't filter through all of them. Well, that's another problem with infobesity, right? There's too much data around us. But I can't filter through. But if Kartik says, "Hey, listen, here's something I think you might be interested in. It's an AI company. It's an eSports AI company that has some very interesting technology. Can you look at it?" I'm going to look. You need those contacts. Second thing is, you need multicultural diversity, which is exactly represented here today. Whether you're from Dubai, you're from the Middle East, you're from Russia, you're from South Africa, Silicon Valley, wherever, Asia, you need those multicultural teams. Why? Because you look at things differently. In Russia, and I lived in Russia almost 14 years, it's very pragmatic, many times scientific, technical approach to things because of the great backgrounds in mathematics and sciences. In the US, there's a lot of marketing. We're really good at marketing, business development, and of course in Silicon Valley, lots of contacts. So, and South Africa, having a different viewpoint of how the masses would look at this particular product or service. And whether it's in my recent experience in the Middle East, in Dubai in particular, is incredible amounts of money. I've never seen as much money in my life, ever. By the way, Kartik, Kurman put in $4.8 billion in Miami. I don't know if you heard about that.
Wow.
So I was on the I had a meeting with the mayor yesterday of Miami Beach, and next week with the mayor of Miami. It's probably the biggest investment Miami's gotten from a single individual.
Wow.
Yeah, my friend is up. He's over 50. He might be listening. If you are Kerman, he's up over $50 billion just in Bitcoin.
Wow.
So
Kartik is not in Bitcoin. He said he's never invested in
it. I got to tell you, the world's changing. And that's another thing. Think about it, from an eSports perspective. Kerman, well, I shouldn't say this because I don't know if he told me in confidence, so I won't say this. But I mean, look at the currencies around the world. You know, the reason that Bitcoin and Ethereum are really taking off is because now we can do these cross-border transactions, because look at where we are today, whether in Moscow and St. Petersburg, Johannesburg, right, in Dubai, we can do cross-border transactions very easily. It's not like you got to go through central banks, etc. All I want to do is I want to shift funds around. It's really easy. And so, and then the instability, a lot of the currencies are not backed by gold standards, right? What's behind the money? The dollar, right? And I saw a thing that says, in debt we trust, you know, instead of in God we trust. So we, you know, this is what, and this will also fuel the, you know, the whole gaming environment. Wait to cryptocurrencies. I looked actually in front of my house. We have now a Bitcoin ATM.
Wow.
Seriously. And so each one of us, this is going to happen, that as we go through this environment. So you were asking about startups. Startups need to look at what people want. They need to be able to understand. And how do they get that information? Just like here in VCTV. Because every single day, VCTV presents incredible ideas with some of the top people in the world. And again, I'm the country boy. You guys are the experts. I'm just a country boy here with you. But listen, but each day you present ideas. And if you're really smart, what you do is you listen to these events every single day, and you pick up the ideas that people have, and you start to put them together. The Germans have a phrase, Gestalt, the sum of the parts equal the whole, because the smart startups are going to take that information and use it to guide them to build a company. Why? Because you don't have to do trial by error. You have ideas to be able to shape your company. So whether it's a e-gaming, think about things like hyper-personalization. Let's look at what's going to happen with e-gaming, with the startup. What kind of things are going to be important? Collaboration, right? Hyper-personalization, real life experiences are really important. And then to be able to participate easily, to be able to have competitions that are going to touch a lot of different cultures, right? So they're intercultural competitions. Those are the kind of things that are interesting. Why? Because that's part of the digital transformation. And each one of us, you know, if you want to succeed as a startup, listen, it's not easy. There's a lot of things about passion, optimism, visualization that you need to have. You need to believe that you can get it done. Why do they fail? Because it's like the behind you. You see where you got the crypto thing, Osita, right? With the lines going up and down. Well, that's what a startup's like. It's like this. You think it's ever straight up? It's bullshit, right? It's never. It's up and down every single day. I don't care what it is. You know, I've talked to some of the wealthiest people in the world. One of them's my partner, right? And it's not easy because it goes up and down. So the thing is, what happens when it goes down? People get nervous. Oh, I don't know. Should I do this? You know, this is from the Russian startups, Maxim. Oh, my Baba said I should go work with Sistema. Why in the world? I went to Moscow State University or Miggy Mo or MIPT. I should go work for a regular company. I should never do this. She tells me every time, and people get nervous and they leave. But the thing is, that's the life of a startup, up and down. What we want to do is trend up, but understand they're down. So that's one of the reasons. So these esports companies fail, right? Because when it's trending down, they get afraid. You got to have a team. You got to have a really good team too. You need a team of 3. You need a good marketing person. You need a technical person. You need somebody that understands operations. And they have to work like a symphony orchestra together. So each time these circles are connected, sometimes you do accounting, sometimes you do operations, sometimes you do marketing, business development. But whenever the other person misses something, your partner or partners need to be able to pick it up. You need to be able to work together because it ain't easy, believe me. I took a company, so I was on the original team of a company that came out of the Israeli Air Force. People said it couldn't be done. It was called IET. I changed the name of the company to Click Software. We did an IPO on NASDAQ. It was sold for $1.3 billion. Was it easy? No. Hard, right? But if it was easy, everybody would do it. So, you know, anyhow, Those were reasons why they fail. There's lots of different reasons why they fail, but listen to your customers. Listen to the customers first. Make sure that you build a complementary team and move forward as fast as you can. So you don't have to be first. And sometimes look at Facebook. There was MySpace, Friendster that came before them, but you have to learn lessons why those people failed. Let them educate, and you come in and win.
Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you very much. I mean, it's been a very educative comment from you. Overall, startups need to continue in a learning process all the time and never take a dull moment. All right, thank you very much. So, startups, you've heard that's a very, very interesting tip there from a startup expert. I hope you make good use of that. All right.
I don't know if those wait a second. I don't know if I'm a startup expert, but it's like if you go in the ring enough times to fight, you know that you get punched in the head a couple of times. And you got to move. Remember, there was said, as Muhammad Ali said something one time. He said, "It's not the person that gets knocked down; it's the person that gets back up."
Yeah, exactly. And that's why you made reference to the up and down. Yeah. Thank you very much, Gary. So, and then Kartik, perhaps we could hear a little more of your thoughts on that. Gary has given a few tips on why startups oftentimes fail, and it appears that there's a bit of a lag in the willingness to learn, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on that also, and as well, what should be done, from an external point of view to pull resources together and try to help these startups.
So I agree with everything that Gary said, and I think that comes in, and he's very right. It doesn't come in with being a serial startup expert, but it comes in with the experience of being in the ring so many times that you know where the punch is coming from. But from a business point of view, I think, and as a venture investor, I follow what Napoleon once said: choose your battles wisely, and once you are in the battle, don't look back. The challenge with most of the startups that I see, especially in the Middle East, coming in is these are 18, 19 to 27, 28-year-old young boys and girls who come up with an idea on a piece of paper and then they want money. There is money available. But the challenge is that once you have an idea and once you have money on the table, you do not have a journey that you need to follow, which necessarily means you don't have the right team. You need to get the right team in place. More importantly, in any tech-based business, continuity is very important. So let's say if I'm into the eSports gaming business, I need to be ready for 3 to 4 years journey in terms of my development, in terms of my software, in terms of my content, in terms of even democratizing. And then more importantly, I would be happy and I would be excited with using somebody's dollars to bring in the customer on my platform once. I'd be lucky enough to get him twice. But beyond that, if my content is not good and if my quality of gaming or if my gaming interface, which is my software architecture, is not good enough, he's not going to come in, which means the reward structure, the gamification, the in-app purchases, the entire interface, which is the UX and the UI of the game, or the larger than life multiplayer experience, which integrates me into the entire social community of gaming. And then beyond that is, have I got my network included? Because it's not me who makes myself successful. Have I got my telecom partners who are supposed to give me a bandwidth? Am I a high bandwidth consuming game? Do I have revenue generation that happens through in-app purchases? Do I have advertisers who are going to create advertising platforms in my apps? Do I have somebody who's going to make me a merchandise success like what PUBG has become or what Call of Duty has become? For a game from being an idea to a game to going live is one stage, but from being live to acquire million users and then to retain those million users and then to create a 700, 800 level gaming experiences which continues and which redeploys itself every day is a very different journey altogether. So while people with dollars can reach the creating a game level, because that's a unidirectional journey, a multi-directional journey of continuing the development and staying ahead of the curve is going to be very important. And which is where I see a lot of startups fail. Startups which come in with right leadership, which come in with a vision, which come in with a resource pool not only of dollars, but for competencies and infrastructure, succeed. The rest of them need to learn a lot that as a startup, once you've got your dollars in the bank, or once you've got investors who are going to back you up, they will back you up only till a particular time. If you do not show the prowess, if you do not show the passion, if you do not show the competence, and more importantly, if you do not show a right roadmap or route to success, dollars will dry up eventually. And that's what's happening with a lot of startups coming in from Southeast and a lot of startups coming in from subcontinent India. At one point in time, there were almost 90 startups during COVID which were into the playing cards, online playing cards game. Only three have succeeded today. There were around 12 startups from Southeast Asia which were into the NASCAR, the car online arcade gaming business. Only two have succeeded because these guys could take the game into at least next 6 months, next 12 months, create in-app gamifications, create a lot of experiences where you virtually move from one platform to another and build consistency. So that is a key differentiator between a good startup and a not so good startup. There are no failed startups. All of them want to succeed. It's just that some succeed and some may succeed later.
Thank you very much, Kartik, for that great insight. I'll now pass the floor over to my colleague, Maxine.
Yep, thank you, Asita. So also having some questions. So first question to Gary. So, for example, if we just imagine, if we will compare classical sports, and electronic sports, in structure of investments, approximately during 5 years, how it will be changed and how it will be impact on global economical growth.
I didn't hear the first part, Maxim. Comparing what to?
Comparing electronic sports and classical sports.
Did you say sports?
What?
I didn't hear what kind of sports. It's echoing a little bit.
If you say about sports, it's mean all classical sports.
Teams.
It's oral industry that by this I mentioned. If you say about electronic sports, I said about like a keyboard sports, like some playing, and it's all about it. So, and what I want to clarify from my side, it's how structure of investments will be changing, bearing in mind current situation, and attractiveness of these two industries. Just having some overview about how it will be changed and how it will be impact of economical in overview.
Yeah, I mean, so look at it. I mean, it's the difference between the two is that traditionally in team sports, you had they were really they're regionally oriented. Now the situation is global. I mean, the audience is huge. And so they, just from my own perspective, so from an eSports, the differential is that I can touch a lot of people anywhere at any time. And it's one is you got the competition of people winning money. You've got a different age group, right? The demographics are like 25 to 34-year-olds. So on the esports side, traditionally, you got basketball, you would go to basketball game, you would plan it 3 months in advance. I mean, with the esports side, it's having the right place at the right time, moving very, very quickly. So the difference is the size of the audience, right? So if I'm doing esports, I can be in China playing, I can be in Russia playing, I can be at Vladivostok or Irkutsk or wherever. And I could at the same time be in South Africa. So the access to the audience is critically important because the amount of revenue can be earned is dramatically higher. It's a lot harder from my perspective if I'm going to have be in the NBA and have a traditional team sports and get people to pack in. But now the audience is just billions of people, right? It goes out to, potentially billions. So what we want to look at is how to be able to maximize that. And then if it was me and I was owned a NBA team, I would be thinking about how I could get involved and reshape my team to be able to participate in this whole environment. And I'm not sure what the final answer would be, but I know that there's a bridge to be able to do it, right? But these are these are traditional, I want to say brick and mortar type, teams in sports. But now with this whole idea, COVID really pushed it forward very, very quickly because we were so cooped up at home. We had nothing else to do. What do? Watch Netflix or play on VKontakte or Facebook or whatever. So we just got bored. We had a lot more free time, and we wanted to move out into those environments, to a fantasy world, if you will. And so the difference, having that, the good news is during the pandemic, and it will continue for another year or two, right? Or maybe longer, actually. The Spanish flu was 4 years, but let's say optimistically another year. But what it does is, team sports that couldn't play. Well, can't play football. People are going to get in the pandemic. What does eSports gives you? It gives you the opportunity to play from your room, your area, to play somebody and never have to worry about getting sick, right? So another year of that, all of a sudden you're going to see, as I said, eSports is supposed to be 1.5 billion by 2023, but it's just climbing like a hockey stick right now.
Thank you so much, Gary, for this comprehensive answer. So also you mentioned and highlighted Netflix. So, and my answer or question will be the next regarding the entertainment industry, as I know it's one of the rocket and exponential. So, and what in your view, how do you think, what will be the one of the key trends and technologies on which will focus market makers like Amazon, like Netflix, so, and how it will be dominant in the market of entertainment?
The situation is, so, with Netflix, there's the dumbest shows I've ever seen, but I don't know why it is. I don't know if you guys watched The Tiger King, but there's some really stupid shows out there, but really entertaining. Dumb, but these are real life people doing, whether they're hunting alligators. The stuff that I would never do, but I like to watch people doing it. It's really amazing. Like The Tiger King. You couldn't have made up a character like this guy, right? I don't know if you've seen it, but it's unbelievable. So it gives us, so what is the future? The future is we're going to have more content developed. It was hard during COVID. It's hard right now to do production, but we're going to have more content that's going to be much more tuned in to you. You're going to have content through artificial intelligence. What's the problem? If you go into Netflix or Prime or VKontakte, right, and you go out and try to find a video, it's hard to find it. But the system's going to be a lot more intuitive, coming up with content for you. And eventually what's going to happen, imagine this, we're not that far off. The content could be generated based on the kind of themes that you like, right? So you're going to have AI shows. You're going to say, I want to see Jason Bourne, but I want to be the character. And Angelina Jolie is with Jason Bourne, and you're going to have Paris Hilton or Busova on the show. And you're going to have these entirely customized shows that are for you, done with artificial intelligence. You're going to have movies presentations that are done by AI. We're not that far off. In fact, if you Google Frank Sinatra music during Christmas, there were actually songs that were built using the voice of Frank Sinatra and the style of Frank Sinatra with made up songs that didn't exist. And so we're finally at the level where artificial intelligence can really hyper personalize. Now that's a few years out, but now the situation is how do we understand the content better for each one of us? It's going to grow because now we're used to it. We're used to going on Amazon. We're used to going on Netflix. I don't know. Osita, do you use Netflix?
Sita, please unmute.
You're on mute, Osita.
Well, I've used Netflix once. My favorite entertainment channel is Showmax.
Okay, so there you go, right? Now think about it. Maxim, do you use Netflix or Amazon? Do you use any of those?
So unfortunately, no, I'm not use it.
So, I mean, but the thing is, do you use YouTube?
Not extremely rare.
Well,
So how do you implement then?
what do you watch?
I'm watching some newspapers like Business Insiders or
Okay, well, I mean, some people do that.
Financial Times, etc. Not watching. I'm trying just
Okay,
reading. Yep.
but most of the world does, right? They like,
Yep.
or they use VKontakte to. VKontakte is like Facebook in Russia, so they'll use those venues. So what's happening? Think about it. Osita, you just said Showmax. So where's Showmax located? Right, virtually everywhere. So we have access. I can access. So if I want to look at Middle Eastern shows oriented, I can find those very easily. It's access of all content everywhere, and it's really interesting. Those are the trends. And before we didn't have it. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, we didn't have the kind of access we do now. The other part is to make them really, as I said, personalized for each one of us. So Showmax, whatever. And you're smiling, Osita. So what kind of shows do you like on Showmax?
Well, I do enjoy history channels, National Geography, talks about the universe, So really, really.
So you want to go out and you want to understand, the number of planets in the universe. You want to understand,
crazy.
Is there life? Are there UFOs? Right? Some kind of, and the access to the information is for each and every one of us, right? It's like instantly available now. So you want to go out and you want to find a documentary on Rasputin in Russia. Easy access. So access is important. Searching capabilities are important. Hyper personalized for you is important. And we're becoming, it's interesting because I was in Moscow and I chanced to have dinner with a co-founder of the internet. His name is Vinton Cerf. So surfing the internet came from his last name. It's not like surfboard, it's him. And so I had dinner with him and he was telling me how the world's going to be connected together. In the beginning, he knew it would work, DARPANET, but how the world's going to be melded together with the internet. And that's what's happening because we can access anything, any Showtime. I'm the same way. I mean, I don't have Showtime. I use Netflix and Prime and YouTube. But look at it. I can get anything I want. If I want to watch funny Russian videos, funny things that happen, and you smile because I'm sure you like it too, Osita and Kartik. But I like it. There's funny things, Last night I was watching one. It was a dog, a Labrador Retriever, was defending against a panther, right? A mountain lion, and it didn't do anything other than was protecting the owner. But I just was unbelievable. It was like being there. Those are the kind of things. Those experiences we can access information. So if you want to watch a documentary on the universe and the number of planets, you can easily access it. That's really what's going to be important and drive the future. Content is going to be important. And then the use of artificial intelligence to drive that. It's going to be, imagine you could take and create, so let's say you wanted to look at unidentified flying objects. You could actually have an AI tool that would take all that information that you particularly like and pull it off all the videos and startups, here's an idea, and put it in one video directly for you, right? That's where it gets really interesting, right? And that's really where the future is from my perspective.
Thank you so much, Gary, for this insight regarding future. So regarding startups, we already highlight this theme, and Kartik, my question for you. So if you will discuss wellness startups, like features like some fitness bracelets for sports, like some tools that will improve your fitness indicators and your performance. So what type of solution will be more applied in nearest future, and what will be more attractive for investors? What type of decisions?
So in the wellness industry, last Post-COVID, while wellness and lifestyle as an industry was growing, the entire healthcare industry moved from preventive to curative to wellness to lifestyle over the last 8 years. The accelerations happened primarily during the COVID period, with online wellness, virtual wellness, and cyber wellness becoming a trend. And we see a lot of investment opportunities. More importantly, changing consumer behaviors and changing consumer trends. In the past, it was all about going to the gym to become fit. Now it's about joining virtual yoga, virtual Pilates, and virtual Zumba classes, which is where you're able to break the capacity barrier and reach 3 to 5,000 people at one time, create money for yourself, and create opportunity for people to be a part of the industry. But more importantly, virtual coaches, virtual online fitness instructors, virtual Weight Watchers, virtual diet sessions. So the entire world, which used to be real, has become virtual because more often people realize that human to human interaction in certain parts of this entire journey, wellness journey, was not relevant. Wellness was left to me, and it was my choice, my decision, my way of being that had to be done. I just needed a coach. So the human coach that used to be in front of you has become virtual. Google buying Fitbit or Nike getting into a deal, the deal that they had with Lance Armstrong's now moved to Ronaldo, or Nike getting into an entire soccer and football or entire soccer and cricket deal is primarily going into the wellness space with more than 12 to 15,000 online wellness instructors in Middle East alone, creating or engaging more than 1.8 million wellness sessions every day is a testimony to the fact that what used to cost $60 a wellness session has come down to $3, $4 a wellness session. Participation has increased. What would go into building this entire wellness industry going forward is not just the wellness and lifestyle content, but more importantly, the ecosystem that supports, which means the last mile delivery, the monitoring of the wellness, the comparative benchmarking of the wellness, the medical services that need to support and augment the wellness industry. My coach is sitting in India. I am sitting here. My diet needs to reach to a third party. I need to have medical markers that need to be checked with a diagnostics lab. Then there has to be a performance benchmarking methodology, and then the entire online network augmentation. So the industry continuously seems to be growing, but along with this, what is also growing and what has grown in last 8 to 10 years is the entire superfood supplements and nutraceuticals business that is going along with it. So as we improve our lifestyle, as we improve our benchmarks, superfoods and amplified foods is what is growing. We've recently funded a small startup based out of Australia into the superfood business, which is primarily working on all the listings and wax-based superfoods, which are primarily working on improving your life expectancy, improving your anti-inflammatory responses, and more important, improving your heart functionalities. As a human as a human being, I would have never expected yeasting or wax would ever be used towards superfood. We're working on certain developmental procedures with a Russia-based, like Moscow-based science lab, which is working on capsulizing your entire day's nutritional requirement. The recommended dietary allowances is getting get capsulized. So instead of my 1.5 kg food that I need to eat, maybe 12 gram 3 capsules are going to be enough for me to last the entire day. Now that is where amplification of wellness is going in. A recent development in this space is also where wellness EMS studios have come up, which is again where a lot of investments is going both in the hardware as well as in the human to human interaction space. So that's where I see. But again, wellness is a continuous game. Wellness is a very fast evolving industry. So if any startup wants to get into this space, one doesn't need to come in with a problem solution. One needs to come in with solutions over a period of time. It's a life cycle and a life stage expectancy game. So if I am a part of your wellness regime, let's say I'm a 42-year-old man, if I'm a part of your wellness regime, you don't need to give me my present day wellness solutions. You need to give me an 8 to 10 year wellness solutions, which would make sure that I stay continuously along with you, because the cost of acquiring me as a customer in my present day situation is going to be very high, because there are 10 to 15 different businesses that are trying to reach me from different directions. So the continuity in this space is something that is very important. Results are very important. If you're not able to deliver tangible results, if you're not able to showcase tangible differences in markers, and in this business, customers won't stay with you for long.
Thank you so much, Kartik, for this logically coherent answer. So, Sita, my
Yes, thank you very much, Martin, and thank you, Katik. So, still on wellness, and now let's look at wellness from an organization perspective or point of view. Now, according to a research by an employee engagement company, Liamid, over 70% of employees with high well-being say they have organizational support, and 99% of employees with a high well-being and support for their organization say their organization is a great place to work. Now, a number of times you find companies focusing on product delivery and sometimes revenue, etc., and tend to ignore the well-being of their employees. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, Gary and Katik, on what steps should companies take to demonstrate support for the well-being of their employees.
Yeah,
Starting with Gary.
yeah. So I actually created one of my unicorns is one of those companies that actually does remote workforce management, and it looks at stress. It looks at are people happy? Those kind of things, and it's growing like crazy. My business is 38 times up at the beginning of the pandemic. We'll go this year from 300 companies to 3,000. So I can tell you directly. I mean, think about it. If you're working from your home, and how do you collaborate with folks? How do you feel if you've got your colleagues? How do your colleagues in South Africa feel about you, or St. Petersburg, Russia, or Mumbai, or Dubai? I mean, how do people feel? And we haven't really paid that much attention to it. We were moving so quickly as organizations, we didn't really look at the really mental health of the employees. How are they feeling? And the one thing about our lives is that we can't wait till problems occur. If you do an employee review, it's once a year. You need to be able to course correct very quickly because you don't want to lose employees that are high value. So, what we want to do is we need to use these technologies, these artificial intelligence solutions to help us understand how to be able to manage our teams better. And again, this is happening no matter whether it's clean tech or green tech or whatever. It's consistent monitoring in a real time basis. So I know what's happening right now at that moment, and that's where you can course correct. So it's anyhow. Those are the technologies. My company's Eva.ai. That's exactly what we do, and we're one of the top 10 AI HR tech companies today. And I did it when we started this journey, it was because we understood that, we didn't predict COVID, but we understood that employee well-being is incredibly important to the mental health of an organization.
Thank you very much, Gary and Katik.
So I look at it. I wouldn't look at it very differently. I think last 1 year has tested people in multiple directions. It's tested people tenacity at work with social challenges, job cuts, fear of losing pay, and fear of health challenges at home, and then being restricted at home. The level of anxiety and level of stress that people are dealing with has increased significantly. At this moment, if organization invests in wellness, if it invests in social de-stressing, and if it invests in creating support systems that allow people or create windows of opportunity for people to de-stress, then I think there is always a merit in building long-term loyalty. It goes without saying that loyalty is not built primarily by paying dollars to people. It is built by, or performance is not built by paying dollars. It's by creating a workplace of choice. And workplace of choice, the definition of workplace of choice changes with generation. In the past, it was about dollars, then it was about growth, and now it's about social well-being. So if you're able to create an environment of well-being, a culture of being of felt important, culture of being nurtured, then I think that's the way an organization of choice is going to be. So companies that have invested in people, people's wellness, people's familial health and wellness are the ones that are seeing success coming out of it.
Thank you very much, Katik. I know you mentioned quite a little on culture. So is it really, really important for organizations to to use culture to reinforce the employees' well-being. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Kartik, for that great insight, and Gary. We have come to the end of this show at exactly 1 hour. All right. Thank you very much, Kartik and Gary, for coming to the show and talking to us and sharing your views and insights. We really appreciate your educative insights here. And thank you also, Maxine, for helping out in this event. Thank you very much. So,
Sure, anytime.
Excuse me, Gary?
Anytime.
Anytime, absolutely,
Like
absolutely. All right, so viewers, thank you again for being on this show. So if you are a startup and you want to pitch on these events, please write to me or any of my colleagues, Maxine. And also, if you do need advice and help in starting your startup, Gary is here, Kartik is here. Send them an email and they will help you, and they're willing to help you. Thank you very much again. Until next time, see you and keep watching LaToken VCTV.
Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next